It looks like Andrade might just be done with AEW. I know that sounds crazy. I know that sounds wild. I know that sounds like something out of the most insane wrestling meme you've ever heard of, but all signs point to there being something going on with Andrade. And there's a wide variety of reasons as to why all of this could be happening, but let's start with what we know. We know that a few weeks ago, on the 6th year anniversary edition of AEW Dynamite, Andrade made his return. He attacked Kenny Omega, and everyone in the wrestling world was enthralled and watching on in shock as Andrade, who just left WWE after he had just returned from AEW to that company, had finally came back to AEW. And everyone expected him to do a program with Kenny Omega. Everyone expected him to go out there and then follow it up in the next couple of weeks of television building up to Wrestle Dream. And so far, Andrade has not showed up on Dynamite at all. In fact, he has not been a part of or mentioned in any Don Callis family segments at all. Andrade, even during a segment where Konosuke Takeshita was overseas for Don Callis' 62nd birthday, Takeshita at least called in via video. Andrade, again, was nowhere to be seen, was not mentioned, and this has led to a lot of speculation. You combine that with the fact that Andrade was scheduled to wrestle a match against LA Park this week, and he pulled out of that, or he was pulled from that. We still don't really know, but he won't be wrestling there. He has not been mentioned on AEW TV ever since he returned, and it just is a fishy situation. And there are a few reasons as to why this could be happening. Reason number one, well, maybe Andrade just crashed out again. That's what everyone believes is happening. That's what everyone is speculating. That's what everyone, I think, in the back of their minds is kind of hoping this is. And to that I say, as wild and as wacky as Andrade is, I think even he has to be a little bit self-aware about his current position in the professional wrestling world, his current position in not just AEW, but man, just the entire industry and how fans view him. Like right now, Andrade is the meme of Jeff Jarrett in the 1990s, where he would switch back and forth between WCW and WWE basically every single year. And I think a lot of fans kind of view him as that punchline, but the fact of the matter is, what complicates this further is that Dave Meltzer of the Wrestling Observer newsletter was speaking about this on his podcast this week, and when he was trying to expand on it, he was told that people within AEW, people within the industry, are keeping whatever's going on quiet about Andrade, but he has not been mentioned. He has not appeared, and AEW have seemingly dropped him from any advertising that may or may not have been happening for an eventual match with Kenny Omega, who, again, he attacked on the 6th anniversary of Dynamite just a couple of weeks ago. And this could be because Andrade and AEW maybe just have not gotten along, and he feels like he doesn't need to be there, and that would be a wild thing to do after having that big moment. But that leads us to lane number 2, which is the case where perhaps Andrade just said, I got the buzz from the debut, and I don't need to do anything further. From now on, I am going to be the most unpredictable man in sports entertainment / professional wrestling. Maybe Andrade is trying to have his Brian Pillman moment. Maybe Andrade is trying to be the loose cannon, and he's trying to have that be his thing. And to that I say, that is insane meta acting, insane method acting, and an insane work. But my guy, you are trying to redeem your career after leaving both of the biggest companies in the world back to back. Doing this would close so many doors. And I think despite how insane it would be, and if it ever did pay off, it would be a massive moment, I just don't know what benefit could outweigh the risk that is involved in pulling something like this. And again, this is all speculation. This is all just shooting from the hip. But the reality is we don't know why Andrade is no longer around in AEW. We don't know why he's no longer being mentioned on AEW. And when you're talking about this, you also have to talk about an unfortunate third lane, which is the unknown. And I don't want to speculate too much on this because we don't really understand the current situation that AEW and Andrade are in, but it could possibly be related to a personal issue that Andrade may be dealing with. And if that is the case, then I think that will come out in due time. And if that is the case, then I personally wish Andrade the best in whatever he's going through. A lot of times you will hear about professional wrestlers either stepping back and not really hear reports about what's going on, whether it's a health issue, a personal issue, or otherwise. And in that respect, I think it's best to leave those situations to those wrestlers to explain. But regardless, this is something that people are talking about. This is something that people are speculating rampantly about. And this is something that has captured the attention of the professional wrestling universe in a way that I don't think many people believed it would. I wouldn't have guessed a couple of months ago that in 2025, Andrade would be one of the most trending conversations amongst professional wrestling circles. Yet he is. In 2025, earlier this year, I wouldn't have expected Andrade to have one of the best returns or the biggest returns of the year, and yet he did. In 2025, I certainly did not expect to see Andrade back in AEW, but yet he did. Andrade is an anomaly right now in professional wrestling in that he's somehow everywhere doing everything, but also doing absolutely nothing at the same time. From wrestling in WWE to being let go to appearing in AEW to asking out of his contract and then having that contract expire, to coming back to WWE, to being fired from that company, to return to AEW and then being pulled from shows. Legitimately. And in my view, whatever way you want to spin this, whatever your theory about Andrade or what he's going through or what's happening is, the fact remains that this man might be the best worker of everyone. And we just don't know it. But of course, in the end, I guess we'll see.